Hello everybody, this is T Hub Official 1. I am back again. TV Hub Official 1. Oh my god, it's another video, guys. Sorry, that was kind of weird. So let's get into it. This one, I thought we were going to do this for a while. Going back and looking at other old Doctor Who episodes, if you've seen my Doctor Who overview, I kind of like to look at this show and just see how it progresses, and go back to other episodes that are sort of consumed as pretty good episodes, or episodes that I just saw in particular and wanted to review. So you go into Netflix, as you heard in my last podcast, and I kind of like watching shows like these. Doctor Who is one of the great shows of Netflix that they've had on, and one of my favourite shows just in general. So let's get into this review of this episode, which is Series 4, Episode 11 or 10, and it's Midnight. I'm going to give you a quick overview. So it's the 10th episode of the 4th series of British science fiction television series Doctor Who. It was first broadcast on BBC One on 14th of June 2008. The episode placed much more emphasis on the role of David Tennant as the 10th Doctor than in the rest of the 4th series, with the Doctor's companion Donna Noble, played by Catherine Tate, playing only a minimal role, which you can definitely see in this episode. For this reason, Stephen James Walker has described this episode in the book Monsters Within as being companion light in the analysis of this episode's successor, the Doctor Light episode Turn Left. Okay, so the basic synopsis of this episode revolves around the Doctor and Donna visiting the resort planet of Midnight, the surface of which is bathed in lethal galvanic radiation from its extonic star. The Doctor plans to take a shuttle to visit a waterfall made of sapphires, but is unable to convince Donna to leave the comfort of the spot. He decides to take the trip by himself and sets off. Upon departure of the shuttle, the hostess starts a cacophony of onboard entertainment, which the Doctor disables with a sonic screwdriver. This forces the other passengers to engage in each other in conversation as they travel. So it is very simple in its premise. You can hear that he's joined by all these other people on board the ship, and it's different because from a lot of other episodes in season 4 and beyond, but that he's basically getting away from his companion in this one, and it's definitely more about the Doctor as a character and the other people on board who he has to socialise with, or where he wants to socialise with. So I thought that's quite intriguing, for one thing, just to see them all on board in a small little set. I think there's only like a few sets in this one, and 99.9% of it is all on this one shuttle that's taking them over the planet Midnight, and to view these waterfalls that he's like so passionate about. So if I had to think about how much on a scale of 1 to 10 I like this episode, I'm just thinking it's kind of difficult to say. I know a lot of people might not like this one just based on the fact that it didn't have as much of adventure as maybe you think it would. As you watch this episode, you feel like it feels a little light on the adventure, as I'll talk about in a sec. But I think I should just go in and talk about what I felt about some of the points in this episode, and then I can make up my decision at the end. But so if I got into this one, I felt like it was quite an intriguing opening. So Donna's sort of left behind. Doctor is kind of, very good, very enthusiastic, David Tennant as he is, and he's here on this shuttle, really excited to go on. Meets a lot of board on people here, and they're on their way to the planet Midnight, which they're on. So we meet the character of Leslie Sharp, or Sky Silvestri, who's sort of dark, kind of intriguing, out of relationship, sort of recovering sort of character. She comes off really, really well. Leslie Sharp just played brilliantly as Sky Silvestri. So she's one of the passengers. Another one is the hostess, which is, they don't know the name of, is played by Araki Oyola. I'm going to talk about her as the episode progresses. Next one is Professor Hobbs, played by David Troughton, the son of the late Patrick Troughton. Came across pretty well. Of course, he's got quite good acting skills, like his father. Before him, we got Dee Dee Blasco, played by Ashley Antoine. She was fine. maybe actually a little weak but at points, but I think it was a good sort of chemistry between her and Professor Hobbs. Val Kane, played by Lindsay Coulson, and Biff Kane are both married, played by Daniel Ryan. They were alright. I didn't see, they're kind of like secondary companion people in this episode. Jethro is played by Colin Morgan, and he's the son of these two, I think. And the Kane's son, I think. And I think he was really good. He kept this episode together in a few points, and without a good few of these characters, this story probably wouldn't have worked like it should. So we also had like a few appearances of the driver, Driver Joe, played by Tony Bluto, and Mechanic Claude, played by Dwayne Henry, which I can't comment on too much about those two guys, because of course they only got about one scene and then they were killed off. So the reason they were killed off is all down to the fact that there's a creature that is just completely savaging the world of Midnight, and people don't know about anything that's on this planet. Little background there is that we're seen as the Professor Hobbs is sort of explaining that, there's nothing really out here on Midnight. It's non-habitable, and no one's ever been out there. We're all viewing it from inside a ship or in the city that they're in, but they don't really know what's out in the wild. And so it gets really kind of creepy at this moment in time. The music is pretty intense, and I saw in Confidential that it was a very music-heavy episode. A lot of work went into the music production in this one. So, again, as I said, it does possess a lot of creepy factor, which kind of enticed me into this one. As I said in my overview, I really like these sort of episodes. They progress pretty well. This one had a good pacing. It felt very fast-paced. Everything pops out of you, and you kept me on your toes. I felt like completely intrigued from the very beginning, really. It didn't let itself down throughout the episode. So, once we get the drivers killed off, everything starts to build up. The Doctor is wondering, well, what the heck is going on? Everyone's wondering the same thing. Doctor tries to go investigate. Sky Silvestri, she's sort of staying back a little. I can feel Professor Hobbs and Dee Dee are just acting, kind of helping the Doctor in a bit in the ways they can. So the shuttle stops unexpectedly mid-route, and the pilot reassures everyone that they're fine. The Doctor uses his psychic paper to get himself into the cockpit, where the driver and mechanic report that the engine seems to be operating normally, but they are not moving. The Doctor encourages them to open the cockpit shields to see out, and before the radiation forces them to close the shields, the mechanic swears that he saw something moving towards them. The driver sends out a distress call, and rescue shuttle is dispatched, but will take some time to arrive. Soon, a rhythmic knocking starts in the hull of the shuttle. The knocking seems to be mimicking the sound passengers make on the walls. The knocking moves around the hull to where a passenger named Sky is cowering. Then the shuttle is rocked and the lights fail. The hostess opens the cockpit doors only to find that the cockpit has been torn off the shuttle. So, for me, it picks up really, from being quite intriguing and having, some points of a bit of good writing by Russell D. Davies, of course, and directed by Alistair Wrighton. But it does pick up, at this moment, kind of around, it just goes to grounding, not halt, but more pick up, in a way. The drivers, everything gets intense, and the whole shuttle has been ripped off this thing, and we're showing that the driver insists that he saw something out there, but no one is really too plugged in to see what, everyone's sort of pretending to know what's happening, but no, they're all normal people, so we don't really get it, because we got a hostess, and no one is really too experienced in any of this, except for the Doctor, who everyone's sort of relying on in a way. But it kind of creeps you out a little, because you can hear these noises, but nothing, you can see anything. And that's one of the positives of this episode, is that it builds up so much intensity and, what I would say, anticipation for something extreme to happening, and you get these sort of just not what you're expecting, really. For me, one of the main points was that you not expect to see so much just pure emotion in this one. So we move on. As I say, this is quite an emotional episode. Anyway, so the drivers are gone. We see the characters start to develop a little from being just those sit-on characters. The Doctor, has a bit of talking to, interacting with all these people. Then we see these people interact with each other and how they all have different emotions. I know they develop pretty well, especially Skylar, who turns out to be cowering in a corner, and everyone turns to her in this little shuttle, and all the commotion's going down, and then it stops, and we get to see her turn around, and she's completely taken over by some alien who's found its way inside the ship, and has possessed someone. I mean, this is not the first time we've seen this sort of thing. There's other episodes, I think, this has done a lot, but so this person is possessed by an alien, sort of like the Exorcist sort of thing, Exorcist style. This feels like it's kind of inspired by something else, and it did really well, taking on of it. So we see the alien Skylar being taken over, and everyone's sort of clueless to what's going on with her, but we see that they all try to communicate with her, ask her what's going on, and we see her develop some sort of weird type thing where they find out she's behaving very oddly. Well, they know she's behaving very oddly, and the Doctor attempts to talk to her, but she simply repeats everything he says and everything all the other passengers do. So I think that another point is brought into this one, a sci-fi sort of element, where we actually see the alien come into the story, and it comes in quite cleverly, and I thought that was really clever. The way everyone reacts to it is a bit commotional and a bit unrealistic at times. I'm sure that this episode was based around trying to get people to have a lot of commotion going on. It's a sort of way of showing that everyone can't get along in a small, compact space where they're all in panic and sort of fighting for their life when they realise something bad's going on, and how some people can take it, some people can't. But in all, they all have to work out some deal with each other and try to cope properly, and people do differently in this one. So Skylar is the first victim, and we see she starts to repeat what people say. I kind of thought that was a bit weird and sort of odd that they would just do this stupid thing where she repeats what people say. It's kind of funny at the same time. So they start talking, and she repeats every single thing they say. They start all there's one scene where they all start to pick up and start, chatting away with each other really fast, and lots of blurting out noise, and then we can see that she's getting repeated, and she's getting quicker and quicker and making responses quicker, and it's kind of creepy. As the passengers huddle and discuss things, the delay in Sky's repetition shortens until she's saying things exactly the same time as the others say them. The passengers become afraid and believe Sky is possessed, and begin plotting to murder her by shoving her off the shuttle. The Doctor steps in, as calm as the passengers, taking in turn himself to talk to Sky. The Doctor realises that Sky is now repeating only his words, and gets closer to her while speaking quickly and randomly to see if she keeps up. He goes in passengers and then observes Sky starting her sentences before the Doctor, who repeats them after a short delay. They suspect that whatever has possessed Sky hasn't gone to the Doctor. We see the Doctor get possessed. Sky attempts to convince the others that she's back to normal, but you can see that Sky is the real evil in this episode, and that's what's revealed. The hostess ends up sacrificing herself with Sky, and we're led to believe that she was sort of the hero of the episode, bar the Doctor. So we don't know the episode. At the end, we sort of get hit with the notion that they're all returning back, the passengers and the Doctor. Back at the spa, the Doctor reunites with Donna and gives her a prolonged hug. After they converse about what's happened on the bus, Donna prompts the Doctor to the Leisure Palace company to leave midnight. The entity may still alive, that there may be more than one of them out there. Donna can't fathom that the Doctor would be like without a voice. The Doctor tells her, "What's been?" Donna copies him. Disturbed, the Doctor tells Donna to do it and looks away, clearly still haunted by these events. Obviously the hostess and sacrificed herself with Skylar and pulled her out into the radiation outside the ship when they were on midnight. So kind of creepy in that sense. Actually really creepy. It sticks with you, definitely. And there is good bits about this episode. As I said, most of it I think is pretty good. It's quite limited in events that happened, but anyway, the Doctor just shows this different side to him, a darker side. He doesn't take as much action in events and lets it all sort of unfold. He tries, but he gets sort of put into this situation where he's not as he's overthrown by someone else, Sky, who's being possessed. But it clearly shows us that there's characters changing in this event, particularly like Sir Jethro and his parents. You can see the parents get like angrier. Jethro maybe a little more heroic or a bit more like he gets a realization and he sees the reality of things a lot more clearly. There's one like downfall is that some of these passengers just aren't as interesting or even as important as they should be. And particularly as you're talking about a story that's meant to be set on one scene, one set, sorry, and one main event that's happening. So these passengers fall short of anything of importance or interest. You could find this a little bit uninteresting, but I was going to talk about the fact that the hostess did that. So you can see good changing in her character. It leads you to believe whether she was always a heroic person or she just stepped to the plate for this one event. And Skylar, if you can see from the start of the episode, you can see, if you rewatch this, you see that you can definitely see a change in her. Well, you can see from the start that she's the suspected one, and it shows you all these different clues leading up to it. I mean, I think you go back and find something they haven't found the first time, which is great to see. But yeah. It does offer a lot in this character piece, this companion light episode. If you want to see more of Donna, then you probably won't watch this too much. I mean, if you like Donna for what it is, Doctor definitely carries the show, and this Tennant's Doctor definitely has a strong presence that you can definitely see. He does bring a lot to it, and he does keep it strong and realistic. It felt realistic. We had some very characters that you could relate to. Obviously it wasn't very eventful, but it felt like there was lots going on because it's fast paced. I like that pace, and particularly for me, I think that it kept up his interest. You might disagree. I mean, I've seen people who think that it's really boring or that the characters just fall short. I think some of them were pretty good. I mean, it's not top class or anything, but the writing is pretty remarkable. It worked well for this episode. It was Russell T Davies, so you can sort of see that how his style sort of went into the episode. I haven't seen much of Series 4 or Series 3 of the Tennant episodes. I've got Series 3 and Season 4 on DVD, so I'll probably do reviews on those, like series overviews, maybe some other Doctor Who episodes soon. I'm trying to collect all the new Who series. A new Series 8 came out. I might not get that. I might get Series 1 and Series 2 soon. I'll go through like Matt's Made Up Era, Series 5, Series 6 and Series 7. But again, that's all up for debate. That's all up in the sky for now. Let's go and say that this one, I gave it an 8. I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. It had so many positives that it sort of outweighed the negatives for me. I just think I will want to revisit this episode a few times more, and it just offered lots and lots of character intrigue and creepiness, and it had a Doctor Who element to it. It's kind of Doctor Who-esque. So thank you guys for watching this. This has been my review of Midnight from Season 4. Episode 10 or 11, I think. One of those two. And definitely one to watch. And hope you guys enjoyed that. See you next time.